If you were a dancer, that's all they thought you could do. You know what I mean? Yes, there was always a triple threat out there.
Look at you never change.
Thank you.
I guess it's true what they say. Sometimes our oldest clothes become our best friends. Well, considering your mother has demanded a home-cooked meal, it has not been easy. I have worked my fingers to the bone unpacking all these containers for the caterer.
That has gotten into you. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's this tramp that you brought into my home. You need to watch.
Yoo-hoo, neighbor, could you keep it down a bit? Hello? Silence is golden, especially at $500 a night. Hey, you! Where the hell do you think you are?
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Oh, baby, let's get down tonight.
You're damn straight. My daughter's getting that apartment.
I'm sorry, I seem to have missed a step. Why is your daughter getting it?
She's older.
Oh, honey, if that was the case, you'd have everything.
I love you, Billy. They're taking you away just till I get better. I don't have a choice. I'm sorry.
Never your fault, is it? But we both know better, don't we? This party is very important to your father. You will not ruin it. You understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
She danced beside Michael Jackson, shared the stage with Broadway legends, delivered powerhouse performances on television screens across America. She has a Tony nomination, a jazz career, and a legacy most performers only dream of. So why doesn't the world know her name? Valarie Pettiford is the Hollywood enigma no one saw coming and no one could break. Her story isn't just about fame, it's about power, quiet power, the kind that doesn't scream for attention but builds empires backstage, the kind that survives the spotlight without being blinded by it. She could have sold out. She didn't. She could have conformed. She refused. While other actresses were boxed in, Pettiford danced between genres, defied every stereotype, and created a blueprint for what artistic control really looks like. So why was she overlooked? What did she risk to stay in charge of her story? And what does her journey tell us about what it really takes to succeed in an industry that celebrates image over integrity? This is more than a biography. It's a revelation. This is the untold truth about Valarie Pettiford, a woman who turned talent into legacy, struggle into strength, and made sure her name would outlive the silence around it. Valarie Pettiford was born on July 8, 1960, in Queens, New York, a borough that raised hustlers, dreamers, and artists. From a young age, she wasn't just moving to music, she was commanding it. She enrolled at the High School of Performing Arts, one of the most competitive training grounds in the country. There, she mastered ballet, jazz, and dramatic acting. She wasn't trying to be good, she was obsessed with being great. While most teens were still trying to find themselves, Valarie was already building a career. As a student, she landed a role in The Wiz, yes, the one directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. It wasn't just a cameo, it was a prophecy, a signal that greatness had already arrived, and Hollywood had better take notes. She watched legends work. She learned discipline, stagecraft, and presence. She didn't just absorb the spotlight, she learned how to shape it. That set the tone for everything that came next. She wasn't going to wait for permission. She wasn't going to ask to be seen. She was going to show up ready and let the world catch up. By the time she graduated in 1978, Pettiford wasn't just prepared. She was unstoppable. And Broadway? It was already waiting for her. Broadway didn't just welcome Valarie Pettiford, it was reborn through her. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, she electrified the stage in productions like Sophisticated Ladies, Dancin', West Side Story, and Showboat. She wasn't from the background, she was a force. As a dance captain, she led entire ensembles. As a leading lady, she blurred the line between dancer, actress, and vocalist. The New York Times called her sexy or sweet, but never one note. She became known for her range. She could deliver elegance and edge in the same breath. And yet, with every ovation came pressure. Hollywood wanted her to pick a lane, to choose between being beautiful or serious, glamorous or grounded. But Valarie Pettiford refused the box. While others chased roles that reinforced stereotypes, she leaned into characters that uplifted Black womanhood, bold, complex, and fully human. Her breakout in Showboat proved she could carry not just choreography, but an entire production with emotional weight. She wasn't just a performer, she was a storyteller. She earned respect. She earned reviews. And more importantly, she earned the right to say no. Because Valarie Pettiford didn't just want to work, she wanted to matter. Theater made her unstoppable, but film and television made her unforgettable. Valarie Pettiford stepped off the Broadway stage and into the camera's frame with the same precision, passion, and presence. Her film credits began with the Cotton Club in 1984, but she didn't stop there. She appeared in Glitter, Stomp the Yard, Why Did I Get Married Too, and Jumping the Broom, often stealing scenes in roles that were smaller than she deserved, but always made bigger by her presence. Then came television, and with it, a different kind of fame. She lit up daytime dramas like Another World and One Life to Live, but it was half and half that made her a household name in Black American homes. As Big Dee, she was equal parts elegance and hilarity, a performance that earned her multiple NAACP Image Award nominations. She kept moving into House of Pain, The Blacklist, A Discovery of Witches, The Equalizer, and most recently, The Young and the Restless. While some actors fade with age, Valarie Pettiford only expanded. On stage, she led. On screen, she commanded. And no matter the role, she made sure you never forgot her face or her fire. When the cameras paused, Valarie Pettiford didn't. She turned to the mic, not for fame, but for freedom. In 2005, she dropped Hear My Soul, a jazz album that gave voice to the parts of her story Hollywood never asked about. It was smooth, sultry, real. And it reminded fans she wasn't just an actress or dancer. She was a vocalist in full control. In 2012, she followed up with Velvet Sky, cementing her place in the jazz and cabaret worlds.
She didn't chase radio play, she created art. She filled intimate rooms with velvet vocals and powerhouse storytelling. And those rooms responded with standing ovations and awards. From the NAACP Theater Awards to the Backstage Bistro honors, Valarie brought elegance to spaces that often ignore older Black women. She showed up in Sequins and Soul, delivering sets that felt more like conversations than concerts. Her shows weren't performances, they were confessions, tender, triumphant, and utterly unfiltered. But more than that, her cabaret work built something the industry couldn't give her: independence. No casting directors, no producers, just her voice, her truth, and her terms. She used her earnings wisely. Teaching, performing, recording, she diversified. She didn't just survive between roles, she thrived. Financially stable, artistically rich, a rare feat in a business built on scarcity. While others waited for the next big audition, Valarie built her own stage. And she built it with care. No gimmicks, no compromises, just relentless craft and heart. And that may be the most radical move of all, owning your talent, your platform, and your paycheck. Because while the world was watching for what she'd do next, Valarie Pettiford was quietly making sure she'd never have to wait on anyone again. Behind the glamour, the ovations, and the spotlight, Valarie Pettiford was living a deeply personal, often painful story. She married former Phillies pitcher Tony Rader in the 1990s, and together they created a life that was stable, supportive, and far from the chaos of showbiz. But behind closed doors, they faced their own heartbreak, a quiet fertility battle that Valarie later revealed publicly. In an industry obsessed with youth and appearance, opening up about personal struggle took courage, especially as a Black woman, where silence is often mistaken for strength. But Valarie chose honesty. She chose to speak her truth, even when it came wrapped in grief.
She also chose to give back. At Steps on Broadway and the Broadway Dance Center, she mentors young performers, not just in technique, but in integrity. She teaches what the business rarely does: how to own your worth, how to be talented and self-respecting, how to shine without selling out.
There were roles she didn't get, opportunities she was denied, entire chapters of her story that the industry wasn't ready for. But she never let the rejection steal her joy or her dignity. She built boundaries. She protected her peace. She shared when she was ready, not when the tabloids demanded it. She became a guardian of her own story. She wasn't always center stage, but she was always centered, emotionally grounded, spiritually anchored, and deeply intentional about every move she made. In that quiet strength, Valarie Pettiford became something even rarer than a star. She became whole. And that wholeness, that ability to be both soft and strong, may just be the most powerful legacy of all. Valarie Pettiford may not be a household name, but her influence runs deep. She didn't chase fame, she built something bigger, legacy. A body of work that spans decades, mediums, and genres. A reputation built not on scandal or spectacle, but on consistency, excellence, and quiet power. She defied every box the industry tried to place her in. And in doing so, she expanded the definition of what it means to be a Black leading lady. Not just beautiful, not just talented, but resilient, versatile, and wholly original. She made space for complexity, for older women, for Black women who didn't fit the mold. She showed that you could be glamorous and grounded, spiritual and strong, private and powerful. Her legacy isn't just in the role she played, but in the role she turned down, the young actors she mentored, the audience she moved, the women she inspired to take up space, claim their voice, and refuse to shrink. Valarie didn't just work in the industry, she changed it quietly, powerfully, and permanently. Because success isn't always about being the most famous. Sometimes it's about being the most fearless. And that's what Valarie Pettiford gave us. A masterclass in staying excellent, and staying free. She never headlined tabloids, never played the fame game. But Valarie Pettiford left a mark that echoes louder than applause. She danced with the greats, sang with the best, acted with grace and grit, and through it all, she kept her soul intact, rare, raw, and resolute. In a world that rewards spectacle, she chose substance. In an industry built on typecasting, she carved out her own genre. And in the face of pressure, she stood tall, not loud, but unshakable. Valarie Pettiford didn't just build a career, she built a blueprint for creative freedom, for legacy, for what it means to be powerful without being performative. She is proof that you don't need to dominate headlines to define excellence, that artistry, discipline, and dignity can still win, and that sometimes the most unforgettable stars are the ones who never tried to be famous, just great. She didn't just perform, she taught, she gave, she made space for others, and in doing so, she expanded the stage for everyone who follows. If this story moved you, drop a like, hit subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because after everything she's given to the stage and screen, the least we can do is say her name and never forget it.